Hello all and welcome back. This is what I have in my turntables table today. On the left you have the VPI Traveler. In the middle you have the THORENS TD309. And on the right there is the Riga Planar 3. All three turntables have a different design execution and isolation principles. And the subject for today will be the TD309 right here. So you're looking at the gorgeous TD309 turntable from Thorens. This is a suspended table. I saw this on the shelf and I thought I should pick this up because it reminded me of my old Thorens TD125 Mark II, and that table had an SME 3009 tone arm. The table was dated back to 1974, a few years older than me. The sonics of that old Thorens table was so enjoyable, so full-bodied, such full tonal colors, holographic soundstage, and decent detailed retrieval. I loved that table so much. Alas, as time goes by, the electronics and some of the electrical connections have failed. I have never gotten around to fixing or restoring that table back to its original glory. Maybe one of these days I will do that. But let's talk about this beauty right here. The Thorens TD309 sells for about $2K USD, 2200, 2300 probably new, but I think there are some available new for $2,000. This is a tri-coil spring suspension. I thought Thorens moved away from coil springs into leaf springs like they did even back with the TD125, but here we are again. The new Thorens tri-balance coil spring suspension is completely redesigned, and I've read that they've consulted the famous Fink Audio Group to draw experience from their speaker design knowledge. So why do we need to have a suspension in a device like a turntable? Okay, so let's talk a little about suspended turntables, what their function is, which is to isolate the table from extraneous sources of resonances, and what could be the source of these resonances. Okay, so it can be from feedback, and feedback is sound from your speakers during playback, especially if you have full range speakers capable of going down to 25 or 20 hertz. The vibrations from the speakers recouple your turntable setup, reaching your tone arm and your stylus, thus adding the resonances, unwanted resonances. Other sources of these extraneous resonances are appliances in your home, dishwashers, heaters, HVACs, just general footfalls, etc. These induce low frequency vibrations into your building structure, your floor, that do make it into your stereo rack and your turntable setup and have the potential to excite your stylus into unwanted motions. Some of you may have seen my previous video about the Riga Anya moving coil cartridge. In that video I talked about the basics of a phono cartridge. The stylus here rides the grooves of the record. The cantilever movement registers electrical signals, but it can't tell the difference between the serrations in the groove or an external force and will move if subjected to resonances, thus adding significant error to the electrical signal, which ideally should be only from grooves on the record. Also, to amplify the problem, the electrical signal from your cartridge gets re-equalized in your phono stage section. So what is this I'm talking about? So guys, this is essentially the record pressing process. When making a record, the frequencies below 1 kilohertz and down to the base are actually rolled off. They're cut. And frequencies above 1 kilohertz all the way to your treble, high treble regions are boosted. That is the information on the grooves. Now, once your cantilever picks up this info on the record grooves, that is converted to an electrical signal. It passes through your phono stage, and your phono stage reverses this per the RIAA equalization standards to restore what the artist intended, meaning the lower frequencies are boosted up by a large amount, up to 20 dB at lower frequencies at say 20 hertz, and your highs that were boosted previously are now brought down. So the boosting of these low frequencies, you can see now, that's what I refer to as amplification of the problem. When you have resonances of low frequencies entering and exciting your stylus, that does get amplified in your phono stage. I will expand on this a little more when I talk about my phono stage videos, but in a nutshell, you do not want extraneous resonances to excite your stylus, as they will heavily corrupt fidelity of your intended information from your record grooves. The suspension on this table acts as a mechanical filter to not allow lower frequencies to pass through and to make it to the tone arm stylus combination. Thus the need for a suspension. The lower the frequency it can keep out, the better the isolation. Now, there are different approaches to the rejection of these unwanted resonances. Riga designs avoid this by having a lightweight and rigid construction plinths. The philosophy there is low mass, low to minimal energy absorption. Combine that with judicious placement of the turntable, and you will achieve a good isolation results. With other companies like Thorens here, for example, Sota is another brand, Oracle turntables, SME turntables, they use the suspension principles for isolation. So I installed this gorgeous turntable in my basement system. So concrete floors, heavy stand with a few hundred records in there. They served as a stand for the Thorens. My record stand served as a stand for the Thorens. I kept it away from my upstairs system, where I have suspended floors so as to not deal with footfalls. If you have springy floors and you're thinking about getting a suspended chassis turntable design, I suggest having very solid heavy stands for the turntable, or consider wall mount stands. Okay, so let's get into some details of this table. So like I said, fully adjustable suspension. It comes with Allen keys, and those Allen keys can be inserted in these 3 points here. There's one behind. Adjustable VTA, adjustable azimuth, adjustable anti-skate. I enjoy setting this table up And I verified the settings after by using the Hi-Fi News. This is a really useful test record to make sure that you have the right system, right settings for the tone arm, turntable, and cartridge alignment. Okay, here, let's talk about the motor for a second. The motor here is enclosed in a decoupled housing. There is a screw right here. If there is belt wear and the turntable is running slow, this can be loosened, and this case can be moved around so as to adjust the position of this spindle and the motor as it's placed in a concentric design here. Sorry, an eccentric design here. So as you move around, it tightens the tension on the belt to make room for some slack that may have developed due to use of the belt. In addition, here below there's a switch selector for the speed. It's at 0 for off, 33 on your right, and 45 on your left. Just beside the selector switch, there is also a set of set screws for fine-tuning the speed of the cartridge. I checked the speed using the speed app, and with some tweaking it was pretty much spot on. So aluminum subchassis here, glass platter, the frosted side is at the bottom. Nice looking tone arm here. They have quite a heavy base in the bottom. Like I said, it has adjustable anti-skate, adjustable VTA, and adjustable azimuth. There is a ring around a rubber bushing in the center, somewhat center of the tone arm, meant for damping. The screw up top here allows you to adjust in the fore and aft directions only for cartridge alignment. The one disadvantage you might have is when you want to swap out cartridges, you have to make sure that the screw heads that attach the cartridge to the tone arm do not exceed a certain thickness. If they are too thick, like the kind you get from Soundsmith, that are knurled and make it easy to attach cartridges to tone arm, that will not work. It has to just be the standard thickness of the screw heads there. The cartridge is supposed to come with a very basic Audio-Technica AT95B, I think, moving magnet cartridge. It's a budget cartridge. I think it's available for $50 new. The cartridge that came with this turntable, the AT95B, unfortunately had a bent stylus. So I had to look for I had to install another cartridge on here. So the latest in the Audio-Technica lineup is the VM series, and the VM95E with the elliptical stylus starts at about $70 USD. But I went with the VM95SH. So that's your SH stands for Shibata stylus. So it's a $200 USD moving magnet. And yes, at that price it comes with a Shibata stylus. Yes, it's a beautiful cartridge. So that's the cartridge I tried first. I also tried the Audio-Technica 440 MLA. That's also a moving magnet gem from Audio-Technica. It sold for about $450 or $400 USD when it was new. It's still available for about $400 the price. Very neat moving magnet cartridge with a built-in stylus guard. The third cartridge I tried was the Dynavector 10x5 high output MC. And that sells for a 750 or 800 USD. I'm not quite sure of the new price, but I'll try to look it up and put a photo up here. Also, when you buy new, this turntable is supposed to come with a protractor for cartridge, for checking the cartridge alignment overhang. I didn't have that, and I used my DB protractor system. And amongst the three cartridges, I found the Audio-Technica, the newer Audio-Technica VM95SH model, to be almost close to the 440 MLA. Yeah, there were some differences, but the fact that it has a Shibata stylus at that price, I used my listening was done half with the VM95SH and the other half with the better Dynavector 10x5 moving coil cartridge. Okay, before we get on to the listening impressions and the sound quality part of this video, I forgot to talk to you about this puck, the stabilizer puck. It is meant to sit right above this shock absorber top here, diametrically opposite to your tone arm, possibly to counter the effect of the suspension based on the heavy bass here. So that's what this is meant for, this puck. Okay, so on to listening impressions. I remember the first album I dropped on this after setting it up, after verifying the setup, was I Heard That by Quincy Jones. So I let the cartridge settle in for a while, but even before the cartridge I had installed, the 1895 Shibata stylus was new, right? So as soon as the needle landed on the first few seconds of the track, all that swirling harmonic detail in the mid-range of that track were present. The sound was fleshed out. It had a very full and pleasant sounding bass and mid-range. There was a pleasant roundness to it with nice detail. And at first I thought this probably had to do something with the suspension of the stylus, of the cantilever of the Audio-Technica settling in. But as time progressed, there emerged a sound signature of this entire table, and it also stuck with me as I listened to it with the Dynavector 10x5 as well. Fleshed out full tonal colors in the bass. There was a roundness to it. It was not a quick sort of bass, but it had decent detail, and it was so much fun to listen to. The high frequencies were detailed as well, but there again there was this sweetness, this warmth to it, and that was also in the mid-range as well. The sound stage was holographic, three-dimensional, a very enjoyable sound. The other album I remember spinning and really enjoying the sound of this turntable was Pink Floyd's Animals. Again, warm and detailed mids. What a psychedelic trip it was. Punchy rhythmic bass, nice depth and layers in the soundstage as well. Then I remember enjoying Milt Jackson's Sunflower. That's another favorite jazz album of mine. It also features Freddie Hubbard on the saxophone. So the sound signature of this suspended table and the cartridges I tried, the sound signature was beautiful, addictive seductive warmth in across the frequency spectrum. You just wanted to hear record after record of the ones you're familiar with and how they sound. I did start noticing some lack. I wouldn't say lack of detail, but the lack of snap, transient attack when it comes to strumming of strings. Not quite as airy as I'm used to, say from the Rega Planar 3 with the Anya setup, or the Dynavector setup, or the VPI. But nonetheless, it was very enjoyable, very, very addictive. And the listening sessions went on into the wee hours of the night. Yes, this warmth is super addictive. Its imaging was big and bold, slightly diffuse soundstage. But so what? The fun was, I had so much fun listening to it. From memory, I like it better than my Thorens TD Mark II. Of course, human memory being faulty and all that. It's been some time since I heard that when it was functioning well. But I feel like this brought more richness and detail compared to that old table. So I think these guys have done a great job. Now, as far as is it worth slightly over 2K USD new? Well, if you like the flavor of the sound, it's a pipe and slipper sound. If I could describe it that way, it's a very comfortable, easy, relaxing sound where all the details there, but it's presented to you in a very, very easygoing and warm manner. So I had quite a bit of fun, and it's the sound signature is quite different from the tables I have in my stable currently. I thoroughly enjoyed this turntable. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you found it useful, please do subscribe, hit the like button. More reviews, of course, coming soon. Thank you very much.